Right, hello everyone and welcome to this new video on the channel. So today we're going to be reacting to the League One predictions that are made before the 24-25 season began. So let's get into it. So if you've watched my previous prediction videos, you'll know that I do a scoring system. So let's get the table up now at 1 to 24, which is all blanked out as you can see. So this is in order of the teams that I predicted, and then on the right hand column to that you have got the actual place where they finished, and then the points difference to the right of that. So that's going to be what we're going to be using to tell how well I've done. So the points difference is basically the difference between where they actually finished and where I predicted them. So for example, if I predicted someone to finish bottom and they did finish bottom, I'll get 0 points. But if I predicted someone to finish bottom and they finished in 20th, then I'll get 4 points, because the difference between 24 and 20th is 4 points. So the aim is to get the lowest score possible. So if you made some predictions, use this scoring system and let me know how you did in the comments. So anyway, let's get started with the relegation zone. So starting with the bottom 4 then. So in 24th place I went for Crawley Town, who ended up finishing in 21st, so that is 3 points for me there. And then in 23rd place I went for Cambridge United, who of course did finish in 23rd, so no points for me there, my first spot on score of League One. 22nd I went for Shrewsbury Town, who finished bottom in 24th, so 2 points added to the total. And then in 21st I went for Stevenage, who finished in 14th, so 7 points added to my score. So 3 of the bottom 4 correct. I'm quite happy with that, to be fair. I had Burton in my predictions and took them out at the last minute, but they managed to pull off a great escape, so luckily I got away with that one. But you could kind of tell roughly which teams are going to be down there. Crawley, they sold a lot of the players when we got promoted, and of course Scott Lindsay went to MK Dons, the team that beat in the semi-final of the playoffs. So I always thought they'd be struggling quite a bit. Cambridge were always down there most years, to be fair, and Shrewsbury, they just didn't look like they'd have enough to stay up, unfortunately. And as for Stevenage, fair play to them. Went on a really bad run at the end of last season, and of course Steve Evans going back to Rotherham. So them two things combined, it didn't look good for the season after, and I thought it would fall off quite a bit, especially with a bit of second season syndrome. But to be fair, they've done really well to do as well as they have. I think we were in top half for most of the season, ended up finishing 14th in the end. So yeah, fair play to Stevenage for doing a lot better than I thought. Next up, we'll move to the 4 teams above the relegation zone. So in 20th place, I predicted Burton Albion to just survive, and they did just survive in the end. So spot on score there, 0 points added to my total. 19th, I went for Exeter City, who finished in 16th, so that's 3 points added. In 18th, I went for Northampton Town, who finished a place lower in 19th, so 1 point added there. And then in 17th, I went for Leyton Orient, who of course had a fantastic run to reach the playoff final and finishing 6th, so that is 11 points added to the total, the first double figure score of League One. So Burton, I thought they'd just have enough to survive, to be fair. I predict to go down every year and they don't, so I thought I'll not predict them this year, and they've just survived. So thank you very much, Burton, for that great escape, for getting me 0 points there. As for Exeter, I thought they'd be flirting with relegation quite a bit. They've never really looked in too much trouble of getting dragged into it. But, in the end, it was 16th place finish for them. Northampton, another one, they had a superb season last year to finish in 14th. I thought they would have a bit of a drop-off. A lot of people picked them to go down. I didn't think they would. I thought they'd be, just above the relegation zone. So I'm pretty happy with just a place out with that one. Leyton Orient, I believe they lost the main striker last season, but obviously Kelman's come in and done absolutely superb, and a few other additions as well, and they were very unlucky, like I say, to lose to Charlton in the final. So yeah, fair play to Orient there. I got that one very wrong, but I'm pretty happy with most of the others. In 16th, I went for Mansfield Town, who ended up finishing in 17th, so that's just a point added there. In 15th place, unfortunately, I went for Bristol Rovers, who went down in 22nd, so that's 7 points added to the total. In 14th, I went for Wycombe Wanderers, who finished in 5th, so 9 points added there. And then finishing off the bottom half in 13th, I went for Reading, who finished in 7th, so that is another 6 points added to the score. So starting with Mansfield Town, obviously they came up from League 2 in 3rd place for the season before. I thought they'd be fine. I thought, they'd not really been too much trouble of going down. I thought we had, enough quality, and the start of the season extremely well. But, we just fell off a bit, as the season went on, and ended up finishing in 17th. Bristol Rovers, though, unfortunately didn't have enough to stay in the division. Looked very poor towards the end, and just, we're kind of the same bottom four for a lot of the season, but we just gradually started sliding down the table, and then Burton hit a bit of form, and like I say, they got overtaken, and then in the end Crawley overtook them as well. So a third bottom finish for Bristol Rovers. They'll be looking to bounce back at the first attempt in League Two. And then the next two teams, Wycombe and Reading, did a lot better than I thought, to be fair. Wycombe finished around here last season, so for one of them teams, I just thought it'd be around the middle. Not really any danger of going down, but not really pushing the playoffs. But very in the end, they'll have been kicking the sends that they missed out on automatic promotion. And as for Reading, very hard to predict with what's going on behind the scenes. I thought they'd improve on last season. Obviously, a lot of chaos, which did continue into this season, unfortunately, but I think they have been taken over now, so that is a very, very, good news for Reading, and, just outside of the playoffs as well, very unlucky not to get in them, so I'm sure they'll be looking to push a bit higher for next season. Moving into the top half then, in 12th, I went for Lincoln City, who finished 11th for just a 1 point for me there. In 11th, I went for Stockport County, who ended up finishing 3rd place. So that is 8 points added to my total. And then, once again, I've got another 8 points coming my way. As in 10th, I predicted Wrexham, who finished in 2nd. So, like I said, 8 points there. Lincoln, I've got a good side, a good quality side, but I thought I would, just fall short of the playoffs, but, be nowhere near the danger of the relegation zone. And then Stockport, to be fair, I thought it was to be a good season for him. Obviously, the man Wrexham coming up from League Two last season, and they absolutely went absolutely flying in the league. The round the playoffs pretty much all season. Obviously, Louis Barrow were firing for them in the first half of the season. He left. He thought I was going to fall off a bit, but that wasn't the case at all. If they even got better, and managed to go up to 3rd in the league, and it's been a fantastic season for Stockport County. And as for Wrexham, they went one better, finishing in 2nd and getting promoted to the Championship. And it's been a fantastic season for Wrexham. I just weren't a bit sure, they've had back-to-back promotions. Eventually that is going to catch up with the squad and stuff like that, having to replace these players on long contracts and stuff like that, and an aging squad. But to be fair, they did extremely well, and we're going to be playing in the 2nd tier next season, so it's going to be interesting if we can do back-to-back promotions. I don't think so, but going to be interesting to keep an eye on. Next, we've got the teams who just missed out on the playoffs. So in 9th place, I went for Charlton Athletic, who of course finished in 4th and got promoted through the playoffs, so 5 points added to my total there. And then in 8th place, I went for Blackpool, who finished in 9th, so just for 1 point there. And then in 7th, I went for Peterborough United, who finished down in 18th. So that is 11 points added to my total. So Charlton, we had a tough season last year. They were in danger of going down, but Nathan Jones came in, he did a fantastic job and pulled them well clear of the relegation zone. And then we've had a superb season this season, especially late on, where they really, went into the playoffs in a really good form, and they did end up winning the whole thing. And fantastic. It's going to be interesting to see how they do in the Championship next season. And then as for Blackpool, I thought, similar to like your Lincolns and stuff like that, I thought, they'd have enough quality to be in and around the playoffs, but just not enough to sneak in. And then Peterborough United, they're always in and around the playoffs, but I think losing the best players year on year has finally caught up with them. Of course, we won the EFL trophy, but in the league, it's been a very poor season for them. We were in danger of dropping into the relegation zone for on quite a few occasions, but they did manage to survive comfortably in the end. But nevertheless, compared to the last few seasons, it has been a disappointing one for Peterborough. So let's move into the playoff places then. And if you're wondering, you're not going mad, I am in a different change of clothes. I filmed the earlier after I finished at the gym, but I ran out of time, so now I'm finishing the video on my lunch break. So anyway, in 6th place, I went for Wigan Athletic, who finished down in 15th, so 9 points added to the total. In 5th, I went for Barnsley. They finished in 12th, so that is another 7 points added. 4th place went for Huddersfield. They finished down in 10th, so that is 6 points added to the total. And in 3rd, I went for Bolton, who finished in 8th, so another 5 points there. So, not great with playoffs. Didn't get a single team who finished in the playoff places. And it's been a disappointing season for most of these teams, to be fair. It's yeah, like Wigan, they, down in 15th. I thought we'd have a better season. Obviously a bit more stable now, the club by the look of it. So I thought, they push up the table a bit more, but we just didn't do that, unfortunately. Barnsley, it's been a very disappointing season, the lowest finish in a very, very long time, and it just never seemed to click for Barnsley. I mean, it looked like, at one point we're going to finish in playoffs, but then we just completely fell down the table, and, we're lucky to get top half, to be honest with you. Huddersfield, it's been a weird season. Like I say, first season back, I was expecting them to push for automatic promotion, but we didn't even end up in the playoffs. In the end, by some distance as well, we just seemed to fall apart during the season. And Bolton, we just never got going, really. And when we did, it were a bit too late. And we ended up finishing outside of the playoffs, which were really disappointing for them. So like I say, all these teams will be looking to bounce back next year. It's going to be a tough league at the top, I think. But, it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. So let's move in to the top two now then. In second place, I went for Rotherham United, who finished down in 13th, so that is 11 points added to the total. But in better news, I predicted Birmingham to win the league, and of course they did on a record number of points. So, yep, no points for me there. Rotherham, disappointing season. I thought we'd do quite well. They looked to make some good business, in the summer, and obviously Steve Evans coming back. It may be unlikable, but he doesn't know how to win football matches. But it just never seemed to click there. It just felt like to me he'd lost the dressing room from quite early on, and they were looking more towards the relegation zone than even the top half at one point, and they have finished just outside of the top half in 13th, so very poor season for them. And as for Birmingham, completely the opposite, to be fair. Record points, they looked absolutely superb. They spent a lot of money, but to get the amount of points they did, it's absolutely unreal, to be fair, and it is a great effort from Birmingham. So, yeah, well-deserved winners, and, it were kind of, there weren't really a doubt since the start of the season they were going to win the league, and they've proven everyone right. So it's Birmingham and Wrexham who go up in the automatic promotion spots, and Charlton who went up through the playoffs. So there we have it. They are my League One predictions for this season. Then, so the full table is on the screen just now. So in total, I end up on 122 points. I got 3 spot on, and then there were 3 teams that I got 11 points on, which were my joint worst predictions. In terms of that score, it's 2 better than I did on League 2, so that is my best score so far. But I think I'll probably beaten in one of the other 3 leagues that I am yet to react to. So until then, I'm going to leave the video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you're new on it, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, and please like the video whether you're an old or new viewer, as we're closing on 2,000 subs. So let's aim for 30 likes on this video, and also please remember to follow my social media at Gittings PT on pretty much everything. So until the next video, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.